Hello everyone, it's Joe here from Draft FPL and welcome back to a weekly series helping you find some good value free agents and waiver pickups in Draft FPL. There are no doubles this week, just a regular old game week, game week 21. Let's get stuck into it. Before I talk through any waiver picks, I just want to briefly mention something that I do for the Patreon. So every week I produce this for the Patreon members. It's a percentage likelihood of teams to keep a clean sheet and teams to score 2 or more goals in that game week. It's based from bookies odds, which I think is pretty much the best indicator of probability. You know, the old saying goes, bookies never lose, and the reason is because their models are about as accurate as you can find. And I'm just bringing this up this week because you can see from the clean sheet percentages, this week is a horrendous week for defences. It may not work out like this. We'll see how the weeks go. You know, there may be a load of clean sheets this week, but just glancing down the fixture list, it doesn't fill me with much hope that there's going to be many clean sheets, and the odds definitely do represent this. Only City have a decent chance at a clean sheet with Wolves at home, but it's very difficult to pick a City defender that's going to play. So if you're lucky and you've got the one that starts, or if you've got Ederson, then this is going to be a good week for you probably. But the clean sheets elsewhere look really, really difficult to predict. So yeah, if you think this is something you'd find useful, then the link to the Patreon is down below. You also get access to updated rankings and the Discord where you can ask for advice and stuff like that. So anyway, on to the picks. With that in mind, the only kind of fixture I think that does look good is Everton at home for West Ham. So I've gone for Kurt Zouma. He didn't play last week, but it looks like he's back from injury now. So I think he probably will get the start alongside Aguerd, I think. It's really difficult to predict the West Ham defence at the moment. I think Cresswell is the one that's most likely to play. Zouma is, in my opinion, probably next most likely. Maybe Aguerd in that conversation as well. But I do think Zouma is probably their best defender. So available in 65% of leagues, I think he'll be back in the side. And Everton at home is the best fixture this week outside of Man City. So elsewhere around the league, I'm looking at players with some attacking returns as well and sort of long-term better fixtures if this week is going to be a bit of a write-off for clean sheets, as I suspect it might be. Estupiñán is the man I'm going for. Leicester away is their fixture, which is quite a tough one, but Leicester aren't in the best form and Brighton are absolutely killing it at the moment. Estupiñán is available in 80% of leagues. He's very attacking. He's playing for a side that are absolutely banging form. I think Brighton are going to finish the season really strongly, and the fixtures after this week, Bournemouth at home, Palace away, Fulham at home, are really good. I expect a lot of people will be trying to pick him up next week, so if you can get him in this week and hope for something against Leicester, it might be a really shrewd play. On the same kind of note, next up is Forest's kind of unlikely hero at the moment, Serge Aurier, available in 85% of leagues. I think Bournemouth away this week is a sneaky decent fixture. Bournemouth are in terrible form. Forest have actually kind of gone under the radar, building up a bit of a head of steam at the moment. So even though it is away from the City ground where they're dominant, I do think they'll give Bournemouth a decent game, and Aurier has been very attacking. There is an outside chance of a clean sheet. I wouldn't be too surprised to see a 0-0 in this game either. And then Leeds at home in 22 is a really nice fixture as well, so you've got him in for game week 22 as well. On to midfielders then, and obviously in your waivers this week is Modric, available in 100% of leagues as he is new to the game. Obviously, Liverpool away this week is a tough fixture, but Chelsea do have a decent run after that. Fulham at home, West Ham away, Saints at home. I suspect on the whole Modric will be a decent signing for Chelsea. I don't think he's going to absolutely tear up the league, but I do think he'll be an okay pick. I'd probably have him a little bit lower than Gakpo, but in that kind of similar sort of ballpark. I definitely think he's someone worth wavering because you never really know with a January sign-in. Sometimes, look at Bruno Fernandes a few years ago, hit the ground running when he joined. We could see something similar here. But then again, with Chelsea, their signings lately haven't really hit the ground running. The likes of Havertz, Pulisic, Aubameyang, these players have never really started well. So It remains to be seen how he's going to do, but I do think he is a good pickup. I think he's probably better than your fifth midfielder and someone I think most people will be wavering for this week. Next up, we've got Leon Bailey, available in 53% of leagues, and I think a really, really good waiver. Saints away, Leicester at home in the next two are two good fixtures, and then I'd happily bench him for City away, Arsenal at home in 23-24. But I think it looks like he's playing kind of up front alongside Ollie Watkins at the moment. A lot of rumours Danny Ings is going to go out on loan. He is a very, very talented player, has a lot to offer, and we have seen some returns coming in lately, and I do expect those to continue for the rest of the season. So in my mind, really solid pick. Next up, someone that I punted on about 4 or 5 game weeks ago and then subsequently dropped in a couple of leagues. I kind of mentioned probably about just before the World Cup break how Solly March's stats were off the charts, and if he was a better finisher and had better finishers around him, his goals and assists would be absolutely flying. Well, as it turned out, that kind of did come true. He started finishing some of his chances, he looks way more confident, and those stats that were there already are now coming to fruition in terms of fantasy points. So someone I think is, March and Matoma at the moment. I could have had either of them on the screen here. I think they're both fantastic picks for Brighton. And as I said with the Stupinan, look at those fixtures coming up. 22, 23, 24 are golden fixtures from an attacking point of view. March is still available in 49% of leagues despite his recent hauls. So definitely pick him up now while you've got the chance. Lastly, in midfield, I've got Jack Harrison. Jack Harrison has had one of the strangest value curves of any player this season. He started off pretty much undrafted, then he went on a mad run of form, got loads of points, was being traded for the likes of Mason Mount. Then he dipped in form a bit, then he was out the team, then he was back on the waivers for most people. And now he's kind of back in the team and back performing as well. And with 3 of the next 4 fixtures being really good, Brentford at home, Forest away and Everton away in 24, I do think it's probably a good time to pick him back up. It looks like Nonto, Aronson, Harrison are the 3 behind Rodrigo for the time being. And I think that's a good mix of talents. And I think it kind of Leeds attack is looking pretty good again. And for those 3 fixtures, I'd like to get a piece of it, really. So if you haven't already picked up Nonto, I'm definitely looking at Harrison. Finally, then we've got João Felix, available in 100% of leagues. Of course, he is brand new. Felix is suspended for the Liverpool and Fulham games, but will be back in game week 23 for West Ham away. I don't think this is the end of the world. Liverpool away was a tough fixture anyway. The Fulham game, okay, that's a shame he'll miss that, but at least he's back for West Ham away, Saints at home, and we still got 16 game weeks after that, so I don't think it's a particularly big deal. I think he's almost certain to start that West Ham game, so for game week 23 it looks like a no-brainer. I know a lot of people have been asking who would you waiver first, Felix or Modric, if you have to rank them in your waivers. I personally, unless I had a fantastic front line, I would go for Felix. I think the most important thing probably is, what does your team need? Do you need a forward or do you need a mid? Most teams need a forward, right? Most teams have someone in their front line that they could easily do without, so Felix would definitely be my preference. I think he's more likely to start more of the games than Modric, and yeah, definitely would be my choice. I mean, let's say you have a front 3 of Kane, Darwin and Wilson, then maybe you wouldn't go for João Felix, you'd go for Modric if your midfield is a little bit more lacking. But I think for the most part, probably most teams have a forward they can drop, and I would go for Felix in that scenario. Also, from what we saw of Felix in that first game, okay, he did get sent off, but it was probably Chelsea's best player as well. And I think he sneaky might do really well in this team and kind of take a bit of the limelight off some of the other players. There are a few more forwards that I'm sure people will ask about. I've not put Fofana, Rutter or Weghorst in this video. I don't think any of them are options at the moment. I know there'll be a lot of people interested in Wout Weghorst, but for me, and while Anthony Martial is fit, which obviously is always a changing situation, I'm not interested in Weghorst. I don't think he's there to start games. I think he's there for a bit of depth that United really need. And I think Rutter's the same, to be honest. I see Rodrigo being the main man. Bamford obviously can't be relied on. I think Rutter will play 30 minutes a game for the time being. And then if he does starting games, we can reassess. Okay, everyone, that wraps up my Game Week 21 waivers. Thank you for watching. As I said at the start, if you are interested in the Patreon, the link is down below. Subscribe if you're new, like the video if you enjoyed, and we will see you next time.